first and foremost, R.I.P. to the legendary Andre Harrell. This guy, and you know this, he was such a visionary. Andre Harrell was such a visionary. So it makes total sense that Russell, and Andre was his dear friend. He would bring Andre to give that cosign because Andre was doing his thing in Uptown with all of the R&B acts. And because I know Andre so well, I could easily see him listening to you and hearing how you described a typical day in LA, and you kind of did it almost like a rapper. I could hear him, yo, Russell, this dude, you better sign this dude, because if you don't sign him, I'ma sign you, because you know how Dre used to talk. And he get excited. You better sign him. Such a dope story.
Listen, Dre, he listened, he had his arms folded, and he just kind of nodded. And then he looked over and he said, I'd sign him. That's what he said. He said, I'd sign him. And that was enough for Russell. He didn't have to even go into full-blown Dre. He was just like, when he heard I'd sign him, he knew, okay, let me go ahead and get this deal done.
Nah, I bet you, when they was alone, he was telling, that's that ghetto fabulous. This is where the industry going.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Fact.
Turns out you're the second R&B artist ever signed to Def Jam. First R&B artist, if I can remember correctly, and I used to love this song, was Orange Juice Jones, The Rain. You come in with a whole different energy. How long did it take for you to make that first album?
First album, and I think in addition to Orange Juice, who was an R&B male, I think Allison Williams was signed to Def Jam for a brief stint as well. I think, I'm not sure, but I think
I'm not sure that she was signed before you. Was she signed before you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe so. I could be wrong. I have to fact check that. But the album I signed to Def Jam or to PMP Productions, Power Move Productions, I signed December of 1993. Got married in 1994. June, started working on the album. I was working on the album most of 1994 and finished the album in about 8 months' time.
Okay. Let's go to the personal side for a second, because you mentioned your girlfriend at one point becomes your wife. And I know at some point she was your manager. Was she your manager from the gate? Or did you have a manager and then you and her having pillow talk and you're like, you know what? You know me better than anybody else. I think you should manage me.
No, she was there from the gate. Now, the other people who were alongside, there were several companies that she had partnered with. So she was with a female management company at one point, and then she partnered with one of my fraternity brothers at one point. She's been the constant from the very inception of my career, even if other people kind of came and went. So for a while, I was the guy that had all those managers, because I was the guy that was trying to bring everybody along. You know what I'm saying? Her management team, my aunt, my fraternity brother. Like, I was trying to, let everybody, bring everybody along for the ride, because I felt like they supported me, you know what I'm saying, through those seasons. And then, of course, as those seasons come to an end, then a lot of times you have to do legal stuff as well to go along with that. Well, I was with you from the beginning, so I feel like I'm entitled to this. And so we had a lot of those journeys as well.
Okay. The album title song, This Is How We Do It. Where did that come from? Was it something that you wrote? Did you pick the sample? This was the song that changed your world. How did that come to play or come to be?
It was the song that changed my world. It kind of changed the world a little bit.
Yes.
I say that respectfully, man. The origin of that song comes from my college days, back at Pepperdine, but me pledging the fraternity, becoming a Kappa. I'm going to all these parties. I'm road tripping, you know, everything from Long Beach to San Jose State down to San Diego, all the new parties and fraternity stuff, that whole life, I didn't have an HBCU experience in college. You know what I'm saying? I didn't get the black college experience. My black college experience out at Pepperdine came from the Divine Nine, from the, you know what I'm saying, from rolling out to wherever a black party was going on in California, whatever, Arizona, I was going to be there. And I was a pretty popular Kappa, so that was my inroads to black college life, if you will. Every party, if a DJ was any good, he's telling stories throughout the night. He's painting a picture for where the story is going. And if a party ends at 2 a.m, somewhere around 1 o'clock in the morning, you're going to hear Slick Rick's Children's Story. If a DJ is playing Children's Story at 10 o'clock at night, there's a problem because he's not telling the right story. There are certain records that throughout a night, you are building the energy in a room. And I can remember for every party that I was stupid, drunk at, pressed up on some girl, dancing, sweaty, all of that, Slick Rick's Children's Story was playing around 1 o'clock, between 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock in the morning. Before last call, I'm hearing that song. And I watched as a college student, whenever that song hit, it was the same response. It was like the energy in the room shifted and everything in the room like went to a whole different level every single time. And I said to myself, long before I was even making the, you know, doing those demos and everything, I said to myself, if I ever get a chance, I'm gonna sing over that record. If I ever get a chance, I'm gonna sing over that record. So even as I go into creating the album for This Is How We Do It, it wasn't called This Is How We Do It at the time. It was just an album. I sang a little bit of that song back in LA that I sang for Andre Harrell. There was a line in there, if people go back and they watch this again, I said, my grandma shouts out, praise the Lord, and so do the honeys. That's where Something for the Honeys came from that demo. I took that and then I created that as a song. I wrote rap lyrics. I'm the type of guy who takes time to just kick back. I turn around my baseball cap. I have a 40 sitting on my lap, slamming the ivories until I seize a female worth my while. I'm scoping at it, checking her smile, and I know that I can get it in. I hit it if she's with it. You know what I'm saying? Could very well be the next Aaron Neville, sounding like nobody because I'm on another level. Like all of those things, I'm writing all of these songs, and in the back of my war chest, I got this song. And so that's how I'm creating songs like Something for the Honeys. Like all of these songs are starting to fall into place as I'm putting this album together. But I know that I'm going to sing over this one track. And so I can't get to that song until I finish all the others. So the album is almost near completed when I finally pull out the Slick Rick's Children's Story sample. And I got the sample, and I don't quite know what to do with it because it's a beast of a song. It's a staple, you know what I'm saying? It's like a hit record, and I don't want to mess that record up. So I'm in and I'm writing with a guy by the name of OG Pierce, who did quite a few songs on my very first album. He helped me put my recording studio together. A lot of these beats and tracks I'm actually doing myself on that first album. So I produced and played the music on a lot of those records. And so we get to the place where now it's time to do the last song, which is over the Children's Story song. I'm coming up with all types of different stuff. I'm talking about tipping up 40 ounces and I'm rapping over the song. And it was almost like it was me and OG. We're like 50-50 co-writers on that song. It was kind of like that phrase, this is how we do it. I cannot say it fell from the sky. I cannot say we prayed for it. All I can say is when it came out of our mouths, it was like the third moment, like when I told you I sat at the piano and that moment was like, or that other moment when people brought money up and laid it at my feet in the club and it was like, this was a moment where it was like, oh, that's it. So we know we had, this is how to do it. That's the part we knew. What we didn't know was what went in between that. So we knew we just gonna repeat that this is how we do it. So all those other pieces, like I was freestyling, bro. I was a freestyle rapper. I would be at Six Flags doing ciphers. Like I became Russell's rap singer, but I used to be a rapper. So literally, I noticed in that song, I only say that, this is how we do. I only do that one time. There's nowhere else in the song. That's how it introed, because I was freestyling, doing so many different things that none of it, I didn't know what was going to stay and what was going to go. So when we started saying like stuff like, I'm in the club and it's all because this is how we do it. This. So we played around with a bunch of different things to get to, I'm kind of buzzed and it's all because this is how we do it. South Central, like nobody. Like, so when it came, it was super, super dope. And it was the last song on the album. Can I take a moment and tell you how we recorded this song? Because this was super, super dope.
Go ahead.
We went to a studio, I think it was called Paramount Studios, Santa Monica Boulevard in Hollywood. We locked up all the rooms, like the A room, the big C room, and we're there at the studio. And I can remember, I called up my fraternity brothers and I was like, yo, I'm throwing a party in the studio. Can you get some girls and y'all roll over? And they were like, cool. So my guys got a couple of girls together. I went out, I bought a keg of beer and some wine coolers. And I put them in the room, in the live room. I set one microphone up in the center of the room, a universal mic, right in the center, and I sent the drinks off to the side. And as everybody got to the studio, I was just like, hey, just go into the other room. Just go into the other room. And so guys, girls, all started arriving, maybe 15, 20 people, maybe a little less, but they all roll into the live room. I got the microphone on and I'm like, yo, help yourself to the drinks. So they start popping drinks. They're laughing, they're talking. Me and OG in the room with the engineer. And I said, let's record. And so they just start recording the sound that's in the room. So if you think about like Marvin Gaye's Got to Give It Up, there's a sound that's in the back of the song. There's like a party atmosphere that's happening in the underlying, underbedded, undergirding of the entire song. I did that with OG to create the atmosphere of that party that was in the entire song. This is how we do it. You hear ladies laughing, you hear bottles popping, you feel like you're in a party when you hear that song. And that's how I started recording the song. And after getting like maybe 20, 30 minutes of just that sound, I then said, hey, everybody gather around the mic and just say, this is how we do it. And they all said, like, this is how we do it. And I was like, no, that's too nice. Like, it sounds too clean, like it's a choir. Just shout it out. Just, this is how we do it. And so they all went in and yelled it and shouted. And I just stacked it and stacked it. Those 15, 20 people stacked it a couple of times. And that's how we got our chorus. That's how we got our atmosphere. And then I cleared out the studio. And then I started recording my part with nobody else in there but me, the engineer, and OG.